Peraliya' 2021 වසරේදී වෙනස්මත් දැකීමක් ඔබ වෙත ගෙනීමට සිරිමාව බණ්ඩාරනායක විද්‍යාලයේ සිසුවිසර මාධ්‍යකගේ සූදානම්. කොළඹ විද්‍යාලයේ ප්‍රවෘත්ති විකාශනයකගේ වශයෙන් අපද ඒ සඳහා සහභාගී වීමට බලාපොරොත්තු සිටිනවා. ඉතින් සසු පාසල් වල මාධ්‍යකයන් ඔබට අප ඇරයුම් කර සිටිනවා. Peraliya' 2021 සමගින් එක්වන ලෙසට.
For the first time in school media, a workshop for technical skills awareness and investigative journalism will be conducted through this series.
ප්‍රවීණ මාධ්‍යවේදීන් හා ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලයකගේ ප්‍රධාන මෙහෙයවීම මත සූම් තාක්ෂණය ඔස්සේ ඔබ වෙත දිගහැරෙන මේ වැඩමුළු මාලාව ඔක්තෝබර් මාස 18 වන දින සිට ඔක්තෝබර් මාස 22 වන දින දක්වා පැවැත්වෙනවා.
This would be a great opportunity for all of us to improve our technical competencies in a gradually developing digitalized world.
අංකුර මාධ්‍යවේදී වන අපට මාධ්‍ය ශාස්ත්‍රයේ පිළිබඳව මනා අවබෝධයක් ලබා දෙනවාස් පෙරලිය 21 අන්තර් පාඨශාලීය මාධ්‍ය වැඩමුළු මාලාව මහබුද්ධෝත්සවයක් වේ.
So we invite you all to join hands with us in Peraliya' 21, the inter-school media workshop series organized by the Sisuvisara media unit of Sirimawa Bandaranaike Vidyalaya.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We warmly welcome you to the second day of the Peraliya' 2021 Media Workshop Series organized by the Sisuvisara Media Unit of Sirimawa Bandaranaike Vidyalaya. Today, the workshop will be on English announcing. Peraliya' is the hallmark of the Sisuvisara Media Unit and has been the most awaited event organized by the Sisuvisara Media Unit annually. This year, we have once again organized Peraliya' in hopes of broadening the horizons of all fellow school media activists. Let me now invite the teacher in charge of the English Media Unit of Sisuvisara Media Unit, Mrs. Gayeshi Vijayasinghe, to address the gathering. Dear Madam.
Good morning to all of you. Madam Principal, Honorable Guest Speaker, Deputy Principals, Assistant Principal in charge of co-curricular activities, teachers in charge of Media Society, students of invited schools, and my beloved students. It's a moment of great privilege and honor for me to extend a hearty welcome to all of you today for Inter-School Media Workshop Series, Peraliya' 2021. This workshop series include training sessions for English announcing, dubbing, editing, and graphic designing, which is vitally important for students who want to outshine as future leaders. As this marks the second day of this workshop series, Peraliya' 2021, we have planned to conduct a session on English announcing to improve your oratory skills. So, let me introduce our resource person today on this virtual platform. He is none other than Mr. Sasanka Dias, the founder of Be Your Brand, personal branding coach, TV personality, and a digital media influencer. He is also a marketing interim manager by his profession. In fact, his video series titled Midwork Influence is one of the most influential and inspiring video series which enables us to reshape ourselves. Further, his 14 years of experience in the media industry and his experience has enabled to network with amazing personalities both locally and internationally. So, this is the obvious reason that made us to bring a caliber of this nature to awake the hidden talents in you. Without further ado, I would like to invite our resource person, Mr. Sasanka Dias, for Peraliya' 2021 to create a future platform for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear madam. Without further ado, let us now proceed. I believe you have already gotten a wonderful introduction from our dear madam, Mrs. Gayeshi Vijayasinghe, on our resource person for the day, but let me reiterate on that. He's the founder of Be Your Brand, a personal branding and presentation skills coach. He counts more than 14 years in the media industry as a television news anchor, and he's also an interim marketing manager by profession, a personal branding and presentation skills coach, and a speaker. He has taken to a path of influencing and persuading people to think anew and to transform their mindsets by creating a video series titled Midweek Influence, which has more than 150 episodes now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our resource person for the day, Mr. Sasanka Dias.
Hi everyone, a very good morning. Thank you very much for having me. I would like to thank the Sisuvisara media unit of Sirimawa Bandanayake Vidyalaya for having me. I'm looking forward to answer your questions, and I hope that this session will be productive to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, sir. And I believe we have a list of questions that our audience would like to know the answers for. So without delaying any further, let us move on to that.
Sure.
As you know, in English announcing, news reading is a very important aspect. So our audience would like to know what are the key points we need to mind when we are news reading. For example, do we need to maintain a particular style or rhythm when presenting news? Can we know your thoughts on this, sir?
Yeah, sure. I think that's the most important question, I would say, if you are aspiring to become a newsreader. So in your question, you mentioned about a particular style. Yes, indeed, you should have your own style because the world worships the original, right? So do not try to copy someone else. Have your own style, have your own training method, and that will take you very far. So important points in terms of news reading. Number one is pronunciation. So sometimes we see we are not sure of pronunciation. That comes with confidence and also your background knowledge, how versed you are. Do you read? Do you watch videos? Are you aware of what's happening around? All these factors come into play in improving your pronunciation, because if you watch news, you would be able to figure out the proper pronunciation of the words, especially in a Sri Lankan context. If you really want to pronounce properly the Sinhala names, you must watch Sinhala news, because there is no English way of saying Sinhala names. If it's Polonnaruwa, it's Polonnaruwa. Right? You don't need an accent to say that, because you're presenting to a Sri Lankan audience. So pronunciation is number one. And the second point is clarity, which is how clear your presentation is. If you do not have clarity, I would say that your presentation is pointless, because you're presenting to an audience, a set of people or millions of people, if you're on TV or radio, watching you or listening to you. So what you say should be clear. For that, you have to understand what you're reading. If you don't understand what you're reading, it won't be clear, you won't have clarity, and your delivery would be a failure. To whom are you reading it for, right? And these are the questions that will arise. And also, another thing is you have to be with presence of mind. You have to be aware of what's happening around. And coming back to what I mentioned about clarity, it's really important that you absorb what is in the script. And that's really important because if you can't understand, you can't present. There is a difference between reading and presenting. So you need to clearly understand the difference between reading and presenting. When you understand and read it out, that's presenting. You know what expression to use, so on and so forth. So I believe the second point is clarity, and then phrasing, diction, you're pausing. If you pause at the incorrect place, it doesn't make sense, or the meaning changes, right? So you have to be very careful when you're reading news about your pauses, and also about phrasing, because sometimes you'll get 3 or 4 words which should be read together. You can't break those words. You just need to read them through, right? So it's really important that you understand how these scripts are being read, or how these sentences are being read. So for that, you need to practice, prepare for your new script as much as you can. Because sometimes students ask me, how many times should I practice before going into a competition or going on TV? I would say as much as you can, because you can't say it's 1 time, 2 times, or thrice. I would say as much as you can, because you get familiarized with the words. The more you're familiar with the words, the more your presentation would be successful. So that's my take on it. And I think the other factor is the overall presentation, the overall delivery, the background work or the homework that you do in terms of practice. That may be breathing exercises, or your the training schedule that you have got used to. Whatever said and done, practice should be the way forward. I think that's sufficient for the first question.
Thank you so much, sir, for that elaboration on what we need to know when we are presenting news. Yeah. And I noticed that sir mentioned something about using an accent. So I believe this is also a very popular question. Is it fine to use an accent when you're reading news? And you also mentioned something about pronunciation. So, sir, what would be the outcome if mispronunciations occur when we are doing a news reading?
Yeah, very valuable question, and this has been emphasized many times, but unfortunately we see it happening every day when we appear at competitions, when we judge competitions, right? So since this is aimed at your competitions or the competitions that you're taking part in the future, this question would be very valuable to you. I would say invaluable. Yes, you should have an accent, but it should be a natural accent. Don't fake your accent, because when you fake it, we can identify, because you need a lot of energy to come up with a fake accent, right? So you begin with a fake accent, but towards the end of the script, right? Towards the end of the script, you come back to your natural accent. That's because you're tired, you're fatigued. So make sure that you have your natural accent and use it. Your natural accent is yours. Your style is yours. So that's why I said initially that having your own style, having your own identity, matters a lot. So make sure that you don't fake your accent. Because sometimes, since we talked about pronunciation, this accent and pronunciation, I would say that they are linked. We see students with fantastic voices. They come up with fake accents and mispronounce. So there you will lose marks. Or if you go beyond that, that will harm your future. Because you try to be someone else and you won't have a path. So that's why you need to create your own identity. I think this has to be emphasized over and over again, because repeatedly we see this happening at competitions. That's what I can say, literally.
Thank you, sir, for letting us know about that. And the next question is about the voice. The voice is an important aspect of news reading, or any sort of performance for that matter. So what are the things we can do to strengthen our voice and to have more control over our voice?
Yeah, so voice, yes, voice is the most important thing, together with your body language when it comes to other presentation styles, other than news reading, right? So voice is the tool that you have to command your audience. If for example, imagine you're reading news on TV and people are having a discussion, but as soon as they hear your voice, okay, you should be able to attract their attention towards the TV or the radio. So that's what the voice can do. So make sure that your voice is trained. So, for example, I'll tell you my story. What I did was I read newspapers aloud. I took newspapers, read them aloud. I still do that. I used to get blackguarded from home as well. So, but it doesn't matter as far as you train, put in your hard work to strengthen your voice, right? So take newspapers, read them aloud. So then you season your voice. Initially, it's hard, but if you keep it as a practice, if you make it a habit, it will definitely improve your voice, because voice can do a lot of things. And you can go into other avenues if you take voice. Other than news reading, you have voiceover, like you have dubbing, so on and so forth, many skills. And voice is given to you innately or by birth. So it's your duty to work on that voice and develop that skill. Because talent is given. Everyone has talent. But if you don't work on your talent, you won't develop the skill. You need to develop that talent into a skill. So that's why you need to do your homework. Now, even this session, this will be a guidance. I would guide you. Even your teacher in charge would have guided you, right? But that is advice. But you have to do it. It doesn't, if you listen to this or if you watch us, and if you just stay without doing anything or taking action, you won't improve. You need to take action from now on. So if you have received advice, follow that advice, take action, because there is a part that you should do for yourself that can only be done by yourself, not by someone else. So please keep that in mind, work hard. So coming back to what we were discussing about the voice, do a lot of breathing exercises. So inhaling and exhaling. Keep this as a practice. Spare 1 hour a day for your training. You have 24 hours a day. Everyone has 24 hours a day, right? You don't get people who have 36 hours a day. Some have 24. No, everyone has 24 hours a day. So if you sleep for 7-8 hours, you have 16 more hours. So out of those 16 hours, yeah, you attend your classes, tuition classes and you have your gathering, so on and so forth. But I think you should be able to spend 1 hour for your training. So during that 1 hour, it should be voicing, that is reading aloud, doing your breathing exercises. And I would urge all of you to meditate. If you can start your day by meditating, you will feel the difference. Just meditate for 10 minutes, right? So that will boost your energy, and also it will help you work for long hours. So especially all students studying for your maybe O levels, A levels, but you never know when the exams will take place. But somehow you need to study and prepare for it. So it's really important. Likewise, it's important to train your voice. Take newspapers and read them aloud, along with your breathing exercises. Initially, you will feel tired. Don't worry about it. Keep on doing it. Take rest and keep on doing it, right? So you can, if you're tired, you can rest, but not quit. I hope that answer is sufficient.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for that. I think we all got something out of that about how to train our voice and how we should be dedicated to it. So moving on to, before we move on to the next one, can I make a request of sir to, if it's possible, to have a demonstration of the new script reading?
Yeah, sure. Would you be able to share the screen with the script?
Yes, I can ask our technical officer about that, sir. Give me a moment, sir.
No problem.
It will be shared in a moment, sir.
Sure. All right. Can I start?
Yes, sir. Sure. Please go ahead.
All right, sure. Okay. Cracks and holes in the stones which form Stonehenge are to be repaired for the first time in more than 60 years. Work is taking place after laser scans showed the lintel stones, joints, and concrete mortar that balance them across the vertical stones have eroded. To mark the start of repairs, English Heritage has invited a man to replace the halfpenny he placed under one of the stones in the 1950s when he was a boy. Specialist conservators are expected to take 2 weeks to carry out the work. Scaffolding will be put in place so that workers can reach the top of the stones and replace the deteriorating concrete mortar with lime mortar. Senior curator Heather Sagaya said, Stonehenge is unique among stone circles by virtue of its lintels and the special joints used to secure the lintels in place. 4,500 years of being buffeted by wind and rain has created cracks and holes in the surface of the stone. And this vital work will protect the features which make Stonehenge so distinctive. You can stop sharing now.
Okay, sir, yes. Thank you very much for that demonstration, sir. I think our audience members has gotten an idea about how to work around a new script. And
so I think what's important is understanding where to pause. Right? If you don't pause at the correct place, as I told you earlier, the meaning changes or it doesn't make sense. So if I may show you an example in the chat right now, if you just read this sentence and understand what I'm trying to say, right? So just focus your attention on the chat, right? Just read this and then you will understand why pausing is important, right? So there's something wrong in this sentence. So if you could really understand, so if you have a comma after cooking, that's the correct version. Because you don't say, I love cooking, my family and my pets. What you say is, I love cooking, my family and my pets. So that's how dangerous it is if you don't pause at the correct place. Right? So that is why pausing, proper pausing is important. I hope that that example would have taken the message to your minds.
yes, most definitely, sir. I think that it would have taken it to everyone's minds. And now if we move on, documentaries are also a very important part of an English announcing competition script. So what are the key points we need to note when we are presenting a documentary?
Yes, so documentaries are not similar to news, but you can follow the same procedure, but you don't need a lot of weight when you're reading a documentary. Documentaries are read in a very casual manner, like talking to your friend. Right? You say hi, or whatever the name, and you just talk, right, with your friends. So likewise, documentaries are very light. It's correct that you need to emphasize on the important words and all that, but your style has to be absolutely casual. You don't need a lot of weight. You don't need a lot of breathing like news. It doesn't say that you don't need to breathe, right? You know what happens if you don't breathe. So what I'm saying is the weight is not that needed like news, but always maintain your casual style when you're reading a documentary. Other than that, phrasing, pausing, clarity, pronunciation, compulsory. So you can't deviate from those 4 factors, because even if it's a documentary, if people don't understand what you're reading or what you're presenting, it doesn't make sense or it's pointless. So make sure that you understand what you have in the documentary and just read it out in a casual way. That's what documentaries are. And if you could listen to David Attenborough's documentaries, that's the best example that you can look for, the best documentaries that you can learn from in terms of voiceover or the way they voice it over, and in terms of content too. So yeah, David Attenborough, Our Planet, so on and so forth, right? You can type on YouTube and check. This is how you learn. So as I told you, now we live in a digital era. You don't need a newspaper to practice. You have online articles, you have websites, right? Mobile apps, so on and so forth. So it's just that your practicing is at your fingertips. It's just that you need to make use of it, make time for it, and just go for it. That's it. So yeah, documentaries are that.
Okay, sir, thank you for that. And if I could also ask you to make a demonstration of a documentary, I believe our technical officer is ready to share the screen on that.
No worries. Sure, I'll repeat the series of documentaries. So you can watch Our Planet. This is by David Attenborough, right? So I think, Gayashi, I would mention it to you after the demonstration. Is it all right?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Sasang.
No problem. Okay. So this is how it goes. So focus on the style and the way it is being read in a casual way, right? So it's not news, but in a different way, right? The Ivory Game. Ivory Game is an investigation on all fronts of the ivory trade, from national parks in Africa to the streets of Hong Kong. The storytelling is surprisingly fair, and like any good investigation, Ivory Game makes the audience think. This is important watching to better understand the fight against poaching, not only a fight to save the largest land mammals, but also a means of stemming terrorism and crime in other parts of the world. Too often, animal preservation is the last of the battles to be waged, but Lud, Carney, and Davidson successfully show how intimately linked the fate of the elephant is to the survival and development of local people. Right? So I think, let me repeat the sources of the documentary. So one is Our Planet by David Attenborough. If you could stop sharing, I can put it in the chat so that all of you can see it, right? So it's, this is the name of the producer. So Our Planet is one. So when you Google David Attenborough, you can find enough and more documentaries that he has done. And when you listen to his voice, you really figure out, oh, this is it. This is him, right? So he's that type of a person. So he's an icon. So a great example for all of you to gain knowledge about voicing over and also the content. If you're aspiring to go forward in the media industry as a producer or in the camera crew or whatever, those documentaries will help. So yeah, that's the demonstration. So I think all of you got the idea about the casual style. So I hope that you felt the difference between the news item and the documentary. I read the news item in a different way, as it is being read as a news. The documentary, it's somewhat different. So hope that all of you got the idea.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the demonstration of the documentary. Now, there's another popular question I believe that a lot of our audience members would like the answer to. When we are at a contest, something that must have happened to most of us is getting stuck in a live presentation where we have no idea about the situation, what the situation they have given us is about, and we are frozen because we don't know what to do. So how do we overcome such a challenge? And do you have any experience that you would like to share with us about such an experience?
Yeah, I have a great example, a great experience. My goodness, that was shocking in one way, but in terms of an experience, that was huge. So I'll come to the example at the end, but let me start with this. So why do you get stuck in a live presentation? That's what you have to understand first, right? That is because you lose words. You don't have words. So why don't you have words? So question yourself in this manner. Why don't you have words? Because your vocabulary is not powerful, right? So why is your vocabulary not powerful? That is because you don't read. That's the simple reason. So all of you from today, if you are aspiring to become a communicator, you have to read. I don't mind whatever you read, but you have to read. Anything that gives you knowledge, anything that makes you a leader, because this skill makes you a leader. This makes you a leader. So understand each and everything of this, the basics. So read, learn new words. When you come across new words, write them down. Write the pronunciation in Sinhalese if you want, because Sinhalese is our mother tongue. You won't forget to read Sinhalese, right? So write the pronunciation, write the definition, how the word is being used in a sentence, and you can practice in the same way. So if you get stuck in a live, right, at a competition, right, keep your calm. Don't get excited. It's just that you need to carry on with your flow. Try to finish in one sentence. I think if most of you have been at competitions where I have judged, right? I know when some students get stuck in a live. So then I tell them, finish it in one sentence. So then you're calm. So keep that in mind, right? So if you have said about 3 lines and you get stuck, just finish it in one sentence. Because then we know that you have structure, right? So you should have your words. That is the practice you have. That is what you do as homework. And simply, that's why you need to read. Read books, novels, non-fiction, magazines, I don't care. Whatever that brings you knowledge, right? And what makes you a credible entity to the society, right? So make sure that you read, gain knowledge, but mere reading isn't sufficient, right? If you come across new words, write them down. Take a notepad, write them down. Write the pronunciation in Sinhalese if you want. The definition or the meaning of the word, and also how it is being used in a sentence. So example sentences, right? When you take a dictionary, you have enough and more example sentences. So make sure that you do your homework and keep time for reading every day. Every day. Keep that as a habit. Take anything and just start reading. Read for yourself and also read aloud to strengthen your voice. So coming back to my experience, I was the English host in 2013. That was 8 years ago at Shogam, Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, right? So we were told that our telecast would be over by 12 noon on that particular day. So it was Prince Charles's arrival, and they told us that those visuals, the coverage would be taken over by another channel, right? And so we didn't prepare. So we didn't prepare for Prince Charles's arrival. We didn't even have his date of birth or any history information. So there is a learning in the story. I'll tell you the story and mention you the learning thereafter. So we were told that our telecast is over by 12 noon. So the live broadcast, the telecast started and it's going on. So I had 2 female presenters on either side, Sinhala and Tamil. I was in the middle. So Now the telecast goes on, and suddenly when we look at the time, it's past 12 noon. So now we were wondering. So even the co-presenters were looking at me, and then I was doing the same, and we were alarmed. Now they were saying, "This is not over. What's happening?" So no one had an idea what's happening. So I think the telecast went till around 1 p.m. and then beyond that, so close to 2 p.m. And just after 2 p.m., our executive producer said, now it's Prince Charles's arrival. Stand by. We are going to cross over to the visuals of the other channel, and they're going to switch it on. So start presenting. So we didn't have anything. And it's a live. Right? You can't have gaps. You can't keep gaps in a live broadcast. Right? You have to talk. You have to say something. So what I did was, I saw Prince Charles coming down from the aircraft, and he greeted the dignitaries and the politicians and all the other distinguished guests who were there at the airport. So what I did was, I did a commentary. Right? I just looked at what's happening and just did a commentary on that. So that was one of the examples that I can quote. And the learning is, you have to be prepared always. So be prepared even in your live presentation at competitions, because when you go to a mainstream or when you present for a TV channel, that's what is important. Have your facts. That's the learning. So you should keep your calm. Don't get excited. Carry on with what you're saying. And my advice to you, read and make your vocabulary powerful. Then you can go a long way. Yeah, that's the answer.
Thank you so much, sir. It was an interesting experience, I believe. And
quite terrifying as well.
Yes, most
definitely. At that time.
Quite terrifying.
It's interesting now. It's interesting now, but it's quite terrifying when you look at it at that moment. So I think I learned a lot through that, even my co-hosts, and I hope all of you did so as well.
Yes, we most definitely did. And we understand about how unpredictable some things can be. So we need to be best prepared to give our best shot, even when we don't have control of the situation. So
that's the word. That's the word, unpredictable. Because you never know what will happen, right? Right? Once, I'll give you another example. So I was the newsreader, and the team was played. So when the theme is being played, so after the theme, the vision mixer needs to switch it on to the studio, right? So suddenly the switcher didn't work, right? The switcher didn't work. So the theme, and it just freezed at the last frame. And now what I can see is the theme, the last frame of the theme on my screen inside the studio, the monitor, right? So as soon as I start appearing, then only I turn towards the camera. So on that day, it didn't happen. I can't talk, I can't say anything, no gestures, nothing. I was just looking at the screen, and suddenly it switched. So then I looked at the camera, turned towards the camera, and started giving the intro and reading the bulletin. So yeah, these are two experiences.
Thank you, sir, for
fascinating now, but terrifying at that moment.
I'm sure. And as I said before, it's quite a learning. I mean, we also have something to get from that. So thank you for sharing that with us.
My
and if we move on to a side of competitions that we aren't quite aware of most of the time. For example, we go to competitions to broaden our horizons, but we can't deny the fact that winning is also a part of it. So what do judges normally consider when they're judging an English announcing competition? I think this is something that our audience would like to know about.
Yeah. So one thing is that your personality. That is an important factor. The way you sit, right? The way you keep your hands, your posture. That is one thing. Other than that, the factors I mentioned at the beginning in your first question, pronunciation, clarity, phrasing, diction, all fall into the same category or criterion, and overall presentation. That's it. And then that's how we sum up, make the total, right? So pronunciation, clarity, diction or phrasing, overall presentation, and also if it's intermediate and senior, voice is being judged as well. So it's important that because after 3 or 4 years, the seniors would go into, if you're going into a TV channel or maybe starting a career in presenting, you will be going into 1 or 2 years. But for intermediate, it's about 3 or 4 years. So you need to improve your voice during this era or that period of your life. So that's the best period to improve your voice, season your voice, and train your voice to captivate audiences.
Okay, sir. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And communication skills. Currently, communication skills.
Before that, actually, since you mentioned about winning, right? So I think I have said this many times. So it's not about winning always, right? I have not won a competition ever. No. Right? Not some competitions, not even in the top 10 or top 5 or whatever. Right? But it's the hard work you put in. Compete with yourself. If you are better, if you take part in a competition today and you have another competition next week, right? If you can perform better in the competition that you have next week, that's your success. Step by step, right? Always compete with yourself. Right? Then you can dominate. The domination is really important, right? Compete with yourself, right? Then you won't have a competition. So because you're competing with yourself, and ultimately you will improve. Just try doing it. Take part in competitions. If you can win, go for it. That's what I'm saying. But if you don't win, you learn. You don't lose. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes, sir. I mean, I understand what sir is saying. Your biggest challenge should always be yourself and not someone else. So you should try to improve yourself continuously. So yes. So as I was saying before, communication skills. I think it's a very important part of our lives currently and even before, but now I think it's even more important with the current situation in the country. So it's something that you would always need in your life, be it in your school life or your corporate life. So what do you have to tell us about communication skills?
Yeah, I think it's a very broad topic, Gatuni. Communication skills, as I told you earlier, is a leadership skill, right? If you're a leader, you should be able to communicate clearly and express your ideas, raise awareness on your team or the subordinates you have in a corporate context, right? So even if you're a prefect, if you can't communicate, how can you control your students, right? So that's why communication skills are important. Now it has gone beyond mainstream media, right? Now you have digital media, right? Try to start something on digital media. Share your knowledge on YouTube. Go on video, record and teach what you know. These are things that you can do as youngsters, right? Go on video to record. I mean, everyone has a smartphone. When I started reading news, we only had the computer at the TV station. We can use it with the consent. Otherwise, you can't. We didn't have the luxury of typing it on Google on your smartphone. No. If you want to find information, either you read a book or read the newspaper. That's it. Very rarely you get to use the computer at your television channel. So that's how we grew. So when you think about now, everything is at your fingertips, right? Right? When you're eating, you can't put your food in your mouth, and you can't wash your clothes. Those are the only two things that you can't do with Google. Other than that, everything can be done, right? You don't need to ask anyone else. Just Google. Some people call Google the God. I have heard, because it's such a savior, right? No, yeah. And when you really think of it, you have plenty of things that you can do. The problem is we don't use it. We don't take action. If you don't take action, you won't see the results. You take action now, you will see the results in 5 years. If you take action after 5 years, you'll see the results in 10 years. Simple as that, right? Take action. That's what I'm saying. So coming back to communication skills, right? There are various things that you can do through your communication skills, right? You can prepare to host a webinar like Betuni is doing now, right? You can prepare yourself to become a speaker like what I'm doing now, right? Likewise, these are the options that you should explore. Don't think of TV anymore. I mean, you watch TV, that's fine. Try to get into mainstream media, that is also fine. But that is not the only option. The opportunity is on digital media, right? But for God's sake, put something or upload content, positive content, which is productive. Content that others can learn from you. That's what we need. That's the need of the hour. Even you can teach your subject matter in the way that you have understood it. So your friends will watch and comment on it, and you can have that discussion. And that would be a productive mode of studying. This is just an idea. So since we are talking about communication skills, these are the ways that you can use it, right? Communication is very powerful, right? But if you misinterpret, it is deadly. If you misinterpret, it's deadly. If you have three people, A, B, and C, right? A sends a message called X to B, right? So the message is X, and the two people are A and B. So A sends out a message called X to person B, right? But B goes and tells a totally different story, which is Z to person C. What will happen? What would be the ultimate result? It would be deadly, right? Because it's a misinterpretation. That's why communication is powerful, but dangerous. I mean, in and out, or day in, day out, we see examples of miscommunication and the chaos that it causes, right? So if you, this is simple. Even if you're having an affair, if you miscommunicate, you know what will happen, right? Simple as that. Communication is very important. Whatever you do, when you're organizing an event, what happens if, when you're organizing Peraliya', if miscommunication happens at one point, what would be the result? Right? If that person doesn't understand right? If one person doesn't understand what you say, right, that is, so the fault is yours as well as hers. Why? Because you have mentioned it improperly, right? Your communication is incorrect, and the way she understood is different, right? When they say the best communication is the things that are not told, that is the best communication. If you can understand something without someone saying it, that's effective communication, for example, right? So that's why communication skills are really important. You may be in media or not, it doesn't matter, but this is really important, right? If you are to become a leader, you want to have command, right? If you want to pave the path to a set of people in the future, you need to be a great communicator. That's a must. So I think, yeah, that sums it up.
Yes, sir. And sir mentioned something about change, about how back in the days it was newspapers and books, and now it's Google. Just like that, even the format of competitions have changed. Before it was physical contests, but now it's video, as in online contests with video submissions. So all of this has come to a certain point now. And I believe that going forward, how to prepare for an online contest will also be quite important for our audience. So is there something sir would like to share about what we need to note when it comes to an online contest?
Absolutely. I think I would prefer all of you would listen to me, listen to this answer very carefully, right? Focus your attention 100%. That is very important, right? I'm telling you this because now we have experience in judging online competitions. It's a totally different aspect, and we need to adapt as well as judges, right? So what we have come across is that you send in a video, but the background noise is too much. So we can't hear what you're saying. So how can we judge? Right? So the first point is when you record a video to be sent to a competition, before sending it to the organizers, right? Play it back. Play back, watch it. Watch the video, the visual, as well as listen to the audio. Listen to your audio. Play back and check whether you can be heard. If you can't be heard, how can we judge you? I'm telling you this because you will lose marks. If you're going for a competition, that's the only way that you can send in a video. And if that fails, done and dusted. Right? If that fails, you're done and dusted. You have no other opportunity to send in another video. But if you play back and you feel that it doesn't sound good, it doesn't look good, re-record it. Record it until you get it right, maybe 25 times or 50 times. It doesn't matter. That's the work you put into it, right? Take it seriously because you have to do it with passion. Whatever you do in life, do it with passion. That's the most important point. Do it with passion. So make sure that your background noise is less. Sometimes, I just want to mention an example, right? So there were a few videos, the students are talking, right? They're presenting the news, and there was a fan or maybe some background noise, as if they are talking from the beach. You really can't hear them. So that's why you need to play back, record, playback. And if you are not satisfied with that video, re-record it. And again, if you're not satisfied, record it again. Likewise, if you get the best version at the 25th time, send it across. That is my advice. Otherwise, you'll lose marks. And focus on the live. And some people are very good, fantastic voices. They have read the news brilliantly, documentary, fantastic, and they don't do the live. I don't know whether they missed it or forgot it. That's right. Now, all these presentations are like meditation, right? You have to have focus. When you're reading the news, if you lose focus, you're gone. If I'm reading a news, right, on a teleprompter, I'm reading it live. If I just take my mind somewhere else when I'm reading, it's very hard to come back, right? Okay. And since we talked about communication skills and also aligning with discussion, presence of mind is very important because sometimes these competitions are live now. Be aware of your surrounding. Anything can happen. So just switch on to the survival mode. Just prepare to do that in a flash. So, and the most important thing is, if you want to be a great communicator, watch other people speak, but don't copy. Have your own style. Watch other people speak, right? You can watch YouTube videos. You can listen to podcasts. A lot of sources. I hope that all of you have heard of podcasts. Yeah? Okay, great. So listen to podcasts. So podcasts is something that you can listen to while doing something else, while attending some work, maybe writing something, whatever. So watch YouTube videos, watch TEDx speeches, right? Look at the way they speak. Look at the way they pronounce, articulate, body language. Going beyond news reading, documentary, and when it comes to live, you need body language. Yes, but news and documentary, you don't have provisions to have body language, right? But expressions, yes, but not body language. You can't use your hands and all, depending on the context, right? But live events, yes, you should use your body language, and that has power to. Body language communicates. And also sometimes non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication, you don't talk, but through your body language, you say something, right? Has anyone watched Kabe Lame's videos on TikTok? I hope that you're using TikTok, but in a good way, right? Just check Kabe Lame, right? Because I think he's very popular on TikTok. He doesn't talk. It's not that he can't talk. He doesn't talk in the video. Non-verbal communication. And he communicates about common sense, which we really lack, right? So make sure that your communication is effective, be it verbal or non-verbal. Non-verbal communication, best example is Kabe Lame. Just watch his videos, because in few seconds, he delivers a universal message, right? So TikTok has good content, not the Sri Lankan content, but I'm talking about the international content, right? So you can learn a lot, right? It's the way you use these platforms. Let me touch on social media a bit, because all of you are on social media, and what the way you use it defines yourself, right? So make sure that you use your social media platforms properly, right? It's not the fault of the platform, it's your fault. If you mess up, it's your fault. That's what you have to understand, right? So if you are given a box of matches, right, you have to decide whether you're going to cook your food or set your house alight. I'll repeat. If you're given a box of matches, You have to decide whether you're going to cook your food with that or to set your house alight. What's your choice? Same story for social media. If you use it in an incorrect way, you will definitely pay the price. So make sure that communication skills are important on whichever platform you are. I hope that I answered your question.
Yes, absolutely, sir. And I believe that advice you gave us, it's very valuable, actually. Something that we should take home today, I believe. And moving on to our last question, the current...
Take home and take action. Sorry. Take
Yes.
home and take action, please.
Yes, most definitely, sir.
Yeah.
And the current generation is multi-talented, but we need to know how to sharpen these talents. So is there anything you would like to tell us, any advice you would like to give our generation about how to wield our talents in a proper manner?
Yes, I think I agree with your first statement. The current generation is multi-talented. Yes, absolutely true. Because when I took part in the Ananda competitions in 2004, right? And when I look at all of you and the students and all of you are taking part in competitions now, right? I feel, I mean, we were not that talented those days, but now, extremely talented. It's just that you need to get the ingredients of the dish right? Get your recipe right. So to wield or to develop your skill, work on your talent, learn new things, watch videos, talk to people, listen to people speak. That's what is important. Use social media to learn. Use social media to learn, right? So there are enough and more ways that you can learn. But the most important thing, whatever you learn, if you don't put it into practice, it won't work out. I'm telling you, today, remember the date, 19th of October, 2021. If you don't put it into practice, it won't work. Learn, absorb from other people, but you have to take action. Ideas are easy. Actions are hard. I know that all of you as youngsters have wonderful ideas, but action, if you don't take action, you won't succeed. You won't see results. If you don't see results, ultimately you're unsatisfied. So that's why you have to take action, right? Because whatever we do, we want to be satisfied. We want to be happy. If you're not happy, it's pointless. No point. So always learn from the various sources you have. Watch webinars, watch videos, listen to podcasts, listen to the radio, watch TV, talk to people. You can mention many sources. Whatever you do, take action. That's really important. So that's why we always say, right? This is a quote from Dr. Abdul Kalam, right? If you want to shine like the sun, you have to burn like the sun. Otherwise, you won't shine, right? So take action. If you have learned something from this session today, from what I said, get it into your heads and pass it on to your heart and take action.
Thank you, sir. I believe we had a wonderful session and we have a few more minutes remaining. So if I can ask sir whether we can have a Q&A session, I believe audience members might have some questions that they would like to ask. And there is one question that an audience member had sent me. And they would like to know whether they need to change voices when they are reading a news script.
Change voices.
I mean, in the sense, I think what they're trying to mean is have sort of like different voices in the sense.
It's like this. So, yes, I understand the question. Yeah, it's a good question, right? Not change the voice, but you change the tonality. Now, if you take two news items, right? One story is read in a particular tone, and you can maybe change the tone in the next news item. I can demonstrate it to you. If you have two news items, I can show it to you how it happens. I used to do that when I read news. So if you can quickly give me two stories, then I can show you how the tone changes. You get me? So if I can demonstrate and show it to you, you will understand. But yes, you don't need to change the voice, but the tone. And also with variations. It can't be monotonous, can't be on a straight line. It has to have variations. So it's really important that you understand the change of tonality. If you can have two stories, then I can show you how this tone changes.
Okay, sir. Yes, I believe our technical officers will.
Yeah. Then I can show you how this tone changes between the first story and the second. So I'll read the first story in one tone, and the second it's totally different. It's a way to keep the audience, right? You break that monotony. From story to story, you can't be monotonous, right? So keeping with the limits, you have the freedom to change your tone. But keeping with the limits, I'm saying that again. When you're reading news, you can't use your hands and you can't wreak havoc with whatever you know, right? So it's really important that you understand those limits and stick to them, right?
Yes, sir. And until our technical officer gets the two news stories, there's another question.
Yeah.
One of our audience members is asking how we should end a documentary. Can we end it abruptly, or is there a specific way to end?
You can't end abruptly. No. That's a no. But with your tone and your style, when someone is listening to you, they should be able to figure out that you're ending this, right? So you need preparation for that. If you haven't gone through the documentary script beforehand, right, you don't know that I have to end it here. That can't happen. So if you are prepared, when you are preparing, you can practice that tone. There is a tone where you end. There is a tone that communicates, right, I'm ending it. The person who is listening to you would say, okay, now she's ending this. That's the mistake. So you can't end abruptly, right? Because it's shocking, right? Don't know whether the voiceover artist died while voicing. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So that tonality drop, the change in the tonality would communicate to the audience, right, this documentary is over. Likewise. So yes, you can't end a documentary abruptly, right?
I believe that must have answered that question. And
yeah, I hope so.
Yes, and there's one more question. I believe this is about smiling when when reading news. They would like to know if it's okay to smile when they read news.
No, smile as in I mean, you can't be a joke, but you can smile. That is also a slight smile, right? Not like you're laughing with your friends and all, right? It's just that expressions. That's why I told you, keeping with the limits. Keeping with the limits, you have a bit of freedom, but not smiling. A slight smile is okay, but you can't smile until the end of the story. No, that can't happen, right? Because you're a news anchor. You can't show expressions. I'll tell you a good example. This happened to one of the singular news readers. I don't want to mention the name, but she had to read the 9:30 p.m. bulletin on the particular day. At 9 p.m., she got the news that her father passed away. Right? At 9 p.m., half an hour before the bulletin. Now imagine her mindset, that situation, the way she adapted. She read the bulletin at 9:30 p.m. without showing anything. That's the answer. You can't show your expressions. Maybe when you're reading, you may be reading a news where your boyfriend or girlfriend has won an award, international award, but still it's your expression. You have to mind your expression. Be mindful of that. Right? So in the intro, you can smile a bit, but not like a program. Not like a program. News is a totally different context. Keep with the limits when you're presenting. Right? Slight smile is okay. Other than that, yes, you can't smile throughout the story. It will become a joke.
Yes, okay.
Right?
So grinning is a no-go. I see.
Yeah.
Yes. And then
because I mean, the audience would think, what's wrong with her? Or what's wrong with him, right?
Yeah. And yes, thank you for that, sir. And if we move on to the next question, this is about tones, I think.
Okay.
And asking whether they have to practice a certain tone to tell a news script.
Yeah, that depends on your style. So there is a particular news flow that you have to practice, right? It's a good question. So I think something which I couldn't mention in the preliminary session, Detoni, right? So to understand this tone, the style and everything, the flow, watch news. Listen to news on radio. Watch news on TV or YouTube, because nowadays you watch news but not on TV, but on YouTube, right? So you have all the international channels streaming live on YouTube. So just take your phone, subscribe to those channels and watch the news, even the Sri Lankan channels. So you get an idea about the flow. News is read in the news flow. It's you're telling a story, but in a different way. It's not like your grandmother narrated stories to you. No. It's a story, but in a different way, right? With command to be able to captivate the audience with your voice and your presentation, your delivery and everything. Everything that revolves around it, right? So storytelling, but in a different way. You're communicating it in a different way. That's what you need to understand, this difference. Why it is different? Because you're presenting to millions, right? Millions are watching when you're reading. So that's what it is.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, sir. And there's another question. This one is also about news, and they would like to know how they can quickly look at the news and then tell it. How, I believe what they're trying to say is how they can comprehend what they have gotten fast and then read it aloud.
Yeah, that is through practice, right? And that is something that you have to be prepared for. when you're reading news, because you prepare for a certain number of news items, right? Suddenly breaking news comes in. You take the script and read it out. I think that's what he or she is referring to, right? Maybe.
Yes, most probably.
Yeah. So in that context, that is through experience. You have to keep your calm. So you can say, okay, news just in, and start reading it. Here's breaking news or whatever, and start reading it. But when you're reading it, you should be able to mark the pauses in your mind, because you won't have time to mark it with a pen. When you get it, suddenly you have to read it. So that's why you need practice. Once you practice this, right? Once you practice this, you are fit for it, right? You're fit for it. Okay. So you have to, if you want to master a skill, right? They say, I mean, it's a norm. If you want to master a skill, you have to practice it 10,000 times. 10,000. Right? Not 1,000, it's 10,000 times. Got it? So practice it 10,000 times, you'll become a master. No, still you'll have to work for it, right? But that's a norm. So if you want to master a skill, do it for 10,000 times. Right?
Okay, sir.
And love the process. That's what is important. You love the process. You will have ups and downs, but you need to carry on loving the process. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, sir. No problem, sir. I believe what sir means to say is to enjoy what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then we have one last question, and I think it's an interesting question. One of our audience members would like to know how to practice the decision-making process in a live.
Practice what?
The decision-making process. I believe what they are meaning to say is how do you make a quick decision when you're doing a live?
A live. Okay. So this is something that I heard in a training session that I took part in, right? I was in the audience, and it was done by an international trainer, a speaker. So I was fortunate to be there, right? So what he told was, when you decide on something, right? When you take quick decisions, if you take a decision maybe in 5 or 10 seconds, right? 95% that works. That's what he said, right? So in another sense, it really works, right? So in a live, as the question mentions, right? You have to have ability to take quick decisions. That is a must. So in 5 or 10 seconds, if you want to decide you want to do this, go for it. Don't think twice, because you don't have time to think twice. You don't have time to think twice. Yeah. I mean, in your life, you don't have time to think twice. And various things could happen in the surrounding, right? So you have to keep all this in mind. Set your mind to do it. I'll tell one of my examples, one of my experiences. I was in the live telecast when the Pope visited Sri Lanka, right? The papal visit. So those days I was wearing a set of spectacles. They become dark when the sun is out, right? So it was dark. It was scorching heat in Katunayaka. And now my specs are like my sunglasses, right? So now the media center was at BMICH. I have a giant screen, right, at the BMICH. So some of the security officers of the Pope had seen that I'm wearing, they had thought that I'm wearing my sunglasses. So then one of our technical officers came and asked, Are you wearing your sunglasses? No, I said, these are my spectacles. And they asked, can you remove it? I said, no. I said, no way, I can't remove it because I can't see. And also, I haven't appeared without spectacles on TV. I would have looked like an alien if I did that, right? Because I have an identity, right? So I can't. These are decisions that you have to take, and sometimes with the content you have to take decisions. Take quick decisions; they will work. And whatever happens in the middle, you can definitely cope up with it. Don't worry about it, right? It's just that you need to be seasoned. Don't lose your calm. Whatever happens, be cool. That's it. So that comes through experience. Appear in front of audiences. When you get an opportunity to compare an event, go for it. Ask and go if you can. I mean, at this stage, you can ask and go, can I do this? Yeah. Or someone would come and ask you, we have an event, can you do this? Yes, why not? Grab the opportunity, right? Opportunities don't come twice, right? And don't forget, create opportunities through your communication skills. Communication skill is a great tool to create opportunities that may be in any form. Creating content, talking to people, right? Approaching people in different ways. All these require communication skills, right? I don't know whether I deviated from news a bit, but just wanted to emphasize on that message. Yeah. So decision making is a good question. So in a line, you have to decide in 5 seconds or less than that because you have no time. You don't have time to think twice. If you think, okay, I'm going to say this, I will say it. Don't worry. Just go for it. As the Nike slogan says, right? Just do it. So, yeah. You should be able to cope up. Don't worry.
Yes, sir. And I believe that would be the end of today's session. And first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Sasanka Dias for that wonderful and very knowledgeable session. I think we all have something that we would like to take home and, like sir said, to take action on. And I hope that all the participants have gained valuable knowledge that they will work on. And to end today's session, I would like to invite Himandi Amararatne to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you.
Before that, I just want to add a few remarks, right? So thank you very much for inviting me. And I hope all of you understood what I said and you gathered something from this. So absorb, learn new things, improve your communication skills. More importantly, whatever you learn, take action. And I'm saying it again, take action. If you don't take action, you won't see the results, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Over to you, Himandi, then.
Thank you, Detuni. Now, I would like to take this chance to thank our honorable guest, Mr. Sasanka Dias, for the time and effort you took to share your knowledge and experiences with us today. Also, I would like to thank all the fellow brothers and sisters of invited schools who joined with us today to make this event an immense success. Please note that our next workshops will be continued from the 20th Wednesday onwards. On the 20th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Technical Skills Awareness Program will be conducted by Mr. Asita Lakshan, following the graphic designing program that will be conducted from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. by Mrs. Sulari De Silva. Marking another milestone of the history of Peraliya', we hereby end the second day of Peraliya'21 Inter-School Media Workshop series with overflowing strings of knowledge. And we will see you soon in the next journey. Till then, stay safe. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.